A very good afternoon and welcome live to the town centre of Drammen in Norway for the penultimate cross-country sprint of the season. This, the third in classic stride and glide, and absolutely crucial in the determination of, in some cases, the overall World Cup Championships, in other cases, very definitely the Sprint Championship. Well, this is a very much annual stop on the Classic Sprint Tour. The course here lined by literally thousands of spectators, and there's the classic uphill finish here. They've changed the course a little bit this year. They've started a little bit deeper into the centre. They've made the climb steeper and direct around the church, which also encourages a very fast descent. And we're right now at the small final stage here in the women's division. Well, no Marit Bjørgen, and that's the big and most important absence going out in the semi-finals. This is the race for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places. And a smiley Evy Sackenbacher, of course, fresh after her victory 24 hours ago in Falun, Manuela Henkel, and also Kati Venäläinen, Sprint silver medalist from 2001 in Lahti, and Rotcheva representing the Russians. I can tell you that in the final, Justina Kowalczyk, Maric for Slovenia, and then Becky Scott for Canada, and Hilda Pedersen from Brumunddal in Norway, who has been beaming and looks very confident, and who knows, might win her first Sprint World Cup. But away we go in this battle for the points for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places, and they come up this finishing straight for the first time, and this is all climbing on the near side. Rotcheva in the Women's World Cup. It is Ella Jumle who leads the rankings from Anna Dahlberg, but Ella Jumle went out in the first of the quarterfinals. Saarinen of Finland, another candidate for good points, had a fall in the second quarter. She didn't qualify. Britta Norgren missed out in the third qualification just by a whisker. And Emily Örstig, the classic sprint world champion for Sweden, in the 5th quarter-final. She was leading until about the last 125 meters, but then, having done all the donkey work, ran out of puff, and Bjørgen and Sackenbacher went past her. Well, Bjørgen, I have to say, poor skis, looked to be really sticking in the semi-final, so some excuses. But having said that, remember that Bjørgen's had a busy old time. Last weekend, the 45,000 meters of the Vasaloppet, maybe those exertions, as well as the sprint at Borlänge and the pursuit, now really beginning to take their toll. And remember, these women within 48 hours from now are going to be taking on, or a good number of them are going to be taking on, the 30 kilometers in Holmenkollen. As we, and a clash there between Venäläinen and Rotcheva. So they look booked, I have to say, for 7th and 8th place. Venäläinen more alert and up and looks less disturbed. Here we go. It was an involuntary mistake, just leaning on the inside ski there on the turn by Rotcheva. But now Evy Sackenbacher challenging, looking for some more valuable World Cup points. Absolutely delighted yesterday with her success in the pursuit. It really went some way to compensating for missing out in the Olympic pursuit, for which she was stood down because of that over 16 hemoglobin level. But Evy Sackenbacher not able to live with the pace in the semi-finals. She was in the semi-final with Hilda Pedersen and Becky Scott, who will appear in the final. But this now, the duel, well, it will be the duel for 5th and 6th places. Henkel and Sackenbacher. Henkel up front in that distinctive pink hat from Reitenwinkel. Henkel, of course, an Olympic gold medalist back in Salt Lake City with the German relay team. Hasn't been such a stellar season for her, but now up this 100-meter drag, and this is good skiing here by Evy Sackenbacher, full of energy. Manuela Henkel just biding her time now. She begins to move up now, shoulder to shoulder, the two German athletes. Jochen Belle looking up, it's Henkel on the left, Sackenbacher on the right. Henkel looks to have timed it the better, just kept a little reserve in the tank and takes 5th place from Sackenbacher, who takes 6 to get 40 World Cup points. And then coming up the hill, it'll be Rotsheva and Kati Venäläinen. Rotsheva and Venäläinen finishing, or will be placed 7th and 8th. Well, that's the small final, as we call it. And Drammen, only about 40 kilometers just to the southwest of Oslo. And there the collision once again. This is a town which is a market town, it's a port, really important trading centre, and it's known in the summer for its river festival. Well, there it is, 3:24 for Manuela Henkel, getting the best of her teammate. Well, here's an interesting lineup from left to right. Becky Scott for Canada, who won a sprint out in Vernon. That was a freestyle sprint, going for a classic success. And Hilda Pedersen, well, she won the World Cup race in Otapa. Could this mother of two twins pull off another World Cup success? It would be really something to cheer the crowd. Petra Madic, who's getting better and better, got a sprint podium, of course, in Davos just before the Olympic Games, and Justyna Kowalczyk, bronze medalist, of course, at the Olympic Games in the 30 kilometers, and Becky in what is her last season, just full of smiles, really happy, in good shape. And this will be really interesting now. Maric 9th in the World Cup table, and watch for Justyna Kowalczyk to make this as hard as she can. She's going to get out there and try and dictate this and grind any sprint out of the other three. Kowalczyk, who won her quarterfinal in 3:22. And away they go. Madic, who won her quarter in 3:24. Pedersen in a very easy 3:22. And it's just a question, I think, of Hilda trying to stay with them on the far side. Let these two, perhaps, Madic and Kowalczyk, burn each other out and then pounce. And coming up now to the steep climb, where they have to herringbone. It really is much steeper than it has been in the previous 2 years. Last year, Verpi Koitinen, the champion from Lena Andersson, who wasn't able to start today. Anna Dahlberg and Malva Leito, 3rd and 4th. Björgen last year only 5th, and once again unlucky. 2 years ago, Björgen the winner ahead of Koitinen and Hirtamaki and Saarinen. But this is the final. Becky Scott. Becky Scott currently in 2nd place in the World Cup rankings. And this would put her within 47 points of Marit Björgen. Well, not exactly, because Björgen will get some points, but it will really close the gap. And remember, after today, there's a freestyle sprint in Changchun in China, and also Sapporo, and that comes after the 30-kilometer freestyle race this coming Saturday. But it's Kowalczyk trying to deaden the sprint here, really trying to make this tough. Really good skis on the downhill from the church. 43 kilometers, that's about 27 miles an hour. And this is where she really is picking up the speed. Really good aerodynamic tuck. Becky Scott. Hilda Pedersen still in with a chance. Just moving up into 3rd place. She's got to play her cards pretty soon now, Hilda Pedersen. Kowalczyk determined to lead up that final hill and make this really hard. Madic in 3rd place there. Poland leading Canada. Just shows you how the world of sprinting has developed. Kowalczyk having the season of her life, under 23 world champion, Olympic bronze medalist. Just missed out yesterday in Falun, was in 4th place, but she's making this tough. and the others at the moment can't get to her. Becky Scott now beginning to make an impression. Up they go over the little pedestrian bridge. Petra Matic looking for inside direct line on the right of your screen now. Matic and Pedersen, and there's a blanket between the whole lot of them. Now Hilda Pedersen puts her into it. Justina Kowalczyk, maybe all that effort is going to leave her only in fourth place, but it is Becky Scott at the moment who's driving out there with Matic her closest pursuer. Third from the right, on the far side, white hat, Hilda Pedersen trying to get to them. Matic of Slovenia, the tall Slovenian, shoulder to shoulder now with Becky Scott of Canada on the left. This is going to be on the boot lunge here. Petra Matic for her first World Cup success, and it's looking good. Lunges and takes the victory. Petra Matic, a World Cup winner ahead of Becky Scott, and Hilda Pedersen, third step of the podium ahead of Kowalczyk.
I had a terrible fall in the early years, and I hit the counter hill after 50 meters without touching ground before.
Oh, wow.
And after that, I never could really jump. And then I had to adjust my skiing. I knew I would jump way farther than anyone else, and it would look very awkward. But
it looked dangerous. I mean, it looked like you're gonna fall down.
But it made me famous.
Ah, there you are.
Where did you come from?
From your future.
We're having a real problem.
Problems are there to be solved. My friends can deliver all kinds of solutions. Pretty cool, huh? Off you come. You must never stop climbing. You must always have ambition. You know, one needs vision in life too. What's so funny?
Well, welcome back to Drammen for the finale races of the men's sprint competition, and some real surprises. Here you can see in the small final for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, Hadderstad, Kreslok, Toby Fredriksson and Andrew Newell. Toby Fredriksson, who was added to the second semi-final because he was interfered with in the quarter-final race. So he had 6 in that race and he's come through, but this of course is for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. The big news though, of course, to Arnie Hetland, who's runner-up in the sprint championship to Björn Lind, and he out of the race. Hetland going out in the third quarter-final. So 10 is Janusz Kreslok. In the overall World Cup, Toby Angerer, of course, 805 points, and Hetland 544. So today would have been an important day with 4 races to get a victory here for Hetland, and that's really kissed goodbye any chance that he probably had of winning the World Cup and wrestling it from Toby Angerer, who looks pretty fairly set at the moment to follow in the footsteps of Rennie Sommerfeld, and also Teichmann, who've won the season-long Wiesmann World Cup for Germany for the past 2 seasons. Back to the present, and this small final for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, and still it is the Pole who's in second place. It's been a lovely day in Drammen, blue skies, not too much wind, and Vigen Hadderstad up there vying with Kreslok. This is a good run from the Norwegian. Down in 19th place. He did have a podium third place in the second competition of the season. That was in Canada in the freestyle sprint, but at the moment making the best of his way home. And Ulla Vigen Hadderstad, motivated by this crowd. Toby Fredriksson beginning to try and mount a challenge, getting onto the ski tails of Kreslok, but he's at least 4 to 5 metres down on the Norwegian who leads. Hetland, who won this competition last year from Rønning, from Ness and from Iversen. It was a 1-2-3-4 for Norway. And the year before, Håvard Bjørkeli, who didn't even qualify today, beat Hetland and Anders Høgberg and Toby Fredriksson. But here's Kreslok showing his sprinting prowess. It's been a good afternoon for Polish sprinting. And Kreslok up there to take 5th place. And oh, that's close. That will be a photo between Hadestad and Fredriksson for 6th place. Toby Fredriksson 4th before today in the Sprint World Cup rankings, just behind teammate Peter Larsen. And Tuani Hetland 2nd. And have a look at this. Fredriksson on the far side. Whoa. Maybe Fredriksson. Fredriksson, of course, winner earlier in the week in Borlänge, which he's beginning to make almost his own. Well, Hadestad, good race, but Kreslok confident of his power up the final 100. And that's very strong double polling from the pole. So, to the final here, Borines, 3rd last year, Svartedal for Norway, Rønning for Norway, Hjelmeset for Norway. This is the Norway, the Norwegians like it. They had a 1-2-3-4 last year. They're going to have a 1-2-3-4 this year. But who is going to get the win? Hetland won it last year. Bjørkeli won it in 2004. Rønning wearing 4. He wasn't the fastest qualifier earlier in the day. That was Borines, who was the quickest man in the qualification time trial, 2:41.85. Is he going to finish as the winner? So away we go. And Ness really determined to make this his best result of the season. Down in 20th place in the sprint rankings, never better than 5th so far this season, and didn't score any points in the 2 classic sprints before today, but he's doing it the hard way. He's leading out there. Nine coming up to him now, Svartedal. 8 is Hjelmeset for Rønning, right at the back, and here's this very, very much steeper climb. 8 running hard. Ness at the moment just suffering a little bit, now beginning to find his rhythm, but this is a long lead at the moment. They really are stretched out in Indian file. Coming down to the right-hander. This is where the speed really picks up. Round they come. Just a ways back now, Eldar Rønning, not looking that good at the moment. 4 also struggling, but at the moment it's all Hjelmeset. And being challenged now by Borines, who's beginning to use that tremendous strength of his to put himself back on terms. He's within a length and a half now. Hjelmeset cuts left, turns right. Now they're in the straightaway and they face the hill and the finish banner. So Borines, what's he got to do here? Hjelmeset is the man between him and victory. Hjelmeset, who's had one success. That was in the classic sprint in Oberstdorf. Björn Ness coming up on the right-hand side, but Hjelmerset finds a little bit more and sprints to his second success of the season. Björn Ness moves up from third last year to second this year, and Röning and Svardadel run out of it. So Hjelmerset just coming up there, Svardadel. And the Norwegians just celebrating this whitewash. Nine Svardadel, one Björn Ness. I think I said Hjelmerset's second victory of the season, but it's Svardadel who prevails. Well, a great afternoon here for Petra Madic, a victory for the Slovenian in the women's classic sprint. And remember, more cross-country coming up on Saturday from Holmenkollen, the women's 30, the men's 50, then the final sprint in Changchun, and then the last race, the pursuit in Sapporo. For now, from myself, David Goldstrom, and the Nordic team in Drammen, thanks for your company. And confirmation, Svardadel, the winner in 2:43 ahead of Björn Ness.